Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Notre Dame Day 2015. I'm Brian Dorman. You're watching a 29-hour global celebration of all things Notre Dame. We'll be under the dome in our La Fortune studio broadcasting live around the world for the next 13 hours. Can you believe it?
Can you believe it?
And we invite you to join us for every one of the incredible stories that we have lined up for you this hour. I'm honored to be here for my first Notre Dame Day and my co-host this hour, Notre Dame veteran Justine Ward. Welcome, Justine.
Thank you so much, Brian. That's right, I graduated from Notre Dame in 2012, and I'm a reporter for KNWA-TV in Northwest Arkansas, and I'm so excited to be back here for my second Notre Dame Day, because this year, I don't know if you've heard, we're doing it bigger and better. In fact, we've already told a bunch of great stories, and we've got so many more to come.
Yeah, that's right. We've already heard from Domer parent John Bon Jovi, former Notre Dame football standout Golden Tate and Brady Quinn, who sent me a tweet last night. Very excited.
Hey, pretty
about
cool
that.
stuff.
Yeah. A Domer admiral who came to us live from the aircraft carrier. I hope you saw it. If you didn't, you had to go back and check it out in the South Pacific, along with countless students, professors, and alumni with incredible stories.
The show so far has been packed with great things going on in the Notre Dame family, and we still have so many great stories left to tell. So what you can expect this hour, we'll get to see a famous artist paint an iconic Notre Dame landmark from start to finish just for Notre Dame Day. We'll talk to an alum working on the behalf of the poor in Peru, and we'll hear more about particle accelerators housed here on campus from a Notre Dame physics professor.
We will also hear from a Notre Dame staff member, an Ironman triathlete, a Notre Dame professor working to improve the medical profession, and Dean Roger Wong, leader of the #1 ranked Mendoza College of Business.
You really do not want to miss a minute of our show today. Part of the reason is that Notre Dame Day viewers get to help the university give away an extra $1 million. So tell us how that works, Brian.
Yeah, it's actually pretty simple. What you have to do is just log on to NotreDameDay.nd.edu and donate $10 or more, and then you'll be able to cast votes for clubs, residence halls, academic units, and teams of your choice.
That's right, and at the end of the broadcast, the more votes a group receives, the bigger the percentage of the $1 million it gets. That way, your $10 donation could easily turn into 100 or more.
Yeah, exactly. And then Notre Dame Day is a great opportunity to maximize the effect of your gift to the university. So we encourage you to take a moment, get online, cast your vote, and while you're at it, give a shout out to the donor who made that $1 million gift possible.
There really is nothing like Notre Dame Day in the world, Brian. I'm looking forward to seeing how the voting ends up after the next 13 hours. But right now, it is time for a short break. When we come back, we'll go down to the performance stage where Notre Dame Day reporter Jackie Layer standing by with the artist Maxim Cantor. Let's go to commercial.
In the rush of my daily routine, it's easy to sometimes take for granted the importance of energy. But every second of every day, energy is helping to improve and save lives all over the world. Unfortunately, as consumption continues to increase and we carry on polluting the environment, we're faced with a grave energy crisis.
There simply isn't enough clean energy to meet the demands of the world today. Nuclear energy has the potential as a clean energy source to significantly help solve this problem.
Led by Professor Peter Burns, Notre Dame's Energy Frontier Research Center is laying the scientific foundation for converting nuclear waste into clean energy through the study of uranium mineralogy and environmental chemistry.
Dr. Burns has discovered a new class of particles that no one knew existed before, and it has important implications for the reprocessing of spent fuel, the disposal of radioactive wastes, and for the future of nuclear power.
When nuclear fuel is removed from a reactor, it's generally thought of as waste. But 95% of the energy that was in that fuel is still there. By recycling this fuel, using the technologies we're creating at the University of Notre Dame, we can get much more energy without creating more waste.
If the full potential of nuclear energy is realized, it can enable us to improve the quality of life of people all over the world and to create a healthier, more sustainable planet for generations to come.
The University of Notre Dame asks, what would you fight for?
Fighting for sustainable energy.
We are the Fighting Irish.
Welcome back to Notre Dame Day. I'm Jackie Layer, and I'm standing here with acclaimed Russian artist Maxim Cantor. Maxim's work is exhibited in museums and galleries all across the world, including here at Notre Dame at Snite Museum of Art. He's currently serving as artist in residence at Notre Dame's Institute for Advanced Study. Now, welcome, Maxim, today.
Thank you very much, Jackie.
No problem. And you're more than just a painter. What other kinds of art do you do?
I'm also a writer. I'm political critic, and right now I did publish a lot of articles and even a book opposing what's going on in Ukraine, because I do not like this political discourse of our government. By the way, well, you call me a Russian, but for years already I live in Europe. So I'm a writer, I'm a social critic, I'm a dramatist. I wrote several plays for theaters, and I'm a philosopher since I'm doing lectures in Oxford. I'm fellow of Oxford University.
Right, well, a man of many talents here that we have here on Notre Dame Day, but we have this blank canvas behind us. Right.
I noticed.
And he's mainly an artist here, and he's actually going to be doing a painting for us live on Notre Dame Day. And what are you going to be painting for us today?
Well, my dear friend Grant suggested me subject to paint Our Lady, to paint Virgin Mary. And I decided it's a great idea, being in Notre Dame University, to paint Mary. So that's what I'm going to do now.
Right, and we have an allotted amount of time for you to do this painting. How long will it take for you to do this?
Well, normally it takes me like a month, a couple of weeks, but now I'm going to do it in 20 minutes.
You heard that right. 20 minutes he has to do this painting here at the Performance Center for Notre Dame Day. So I'm going to let you get right to the painting, Maxim. We're actually going to be checking back with him in 20 minutes to see how it's going.
Very good. I'll try to do my best.
I'm sure you will.
It will be a little circus, of course.
Of course. But again, now we're going to toss it back up into the studio with Brian.
All right, Jackie, thank you so much. We're definitely looking forward to that. I'm joined now in studio by Roger Wong, Dean of Mendoza College of Business. College enrolls nearly 2,000 undergraduate students each year, has been rated the #1 business school in the country for 5 years in a row by Bloomberg Magazine. Roger, thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
Can't wait to hear all about your school here, the Mendoza College of Business, of course, the best school in the country. What is it that we do differently here at Notre Dame that makes us #1?
You know, I believe that business schools, all business schools can teach, let's say, Finance 101 or Marketing 101 and Accounting 101. What we do differently here is that we are committed to our mission, which was given to us by our founder way back in 1921, and that is to use business as a vehicle to do good. And so we are committed to that component, and we have all sorts of courses on business ethics, on corporate social responsibility, on sustainability, on impact investing, and the entire university help out with our mission in that we are part of the university that has a vision of using of being a force for good. And so we have all this commitment based on our faith to be part of that.
And Roger, I know that one of your largest goals is to broaden Mendoza's global reach. Tell me about some of those efforts that are underway already.
Sure, and we are part of what is now called the 3-continent program, and that is to allow students to travel as a cohort around 3 different continents. So we have the first program that we have set up is called, it consists of Notre Dame, a National University of Singapore, and the Bocconi University in Italy. And so students from all 3 universities will travel as a cohort around these 3 campuses over 3 semesters. And unlike other exchange programs, what they will do is that they will travel as a cohort. So you are forced to interact with them. So there is no congregation of your own familiar friends out there. You have to live together and study together together. And so that's one program that we've set up. Another one that we've set up that we're quite excited about is about to take off. It's a partnership with a vendor called Academic Partnership. And what this does is that we're going to offer certificate programs around the world in many different countries on 3 different topics, on financial management, on leadership, and on business analytics. And what this affords us is that instead of having for us to go around the world and try to set up all these partnerships on our own, Academic Partnership set up these relationships already, and we will partner with them to offer these courses in the host institutions around the world, especially in South America and Caribbean countries, and then hopefully the students will become more familiar with Mendoza and Notre Dame as a result of it.
Roger, my last question to you,
Sure.
just one of the slogans often used there is ask more of business. Love that. What does that mean? Explain that.
That is related to the first question that you posed, i.e. to use business as a vehicle to do good, as part of our bigger vision for the university, which is to be a force for good. And so this enables us to engage our students to engage in many different activities. For example, one of which is business on the front lines, where our students went to many places in Africa, and they're engaged in local consulting projects. And we now have, even in our EMBA program, the Executive MBA program, projects whereby the students will be traveling to different parts of the world, engage in projects set up by our alumni in those countries. And they are to show that we are going to use business to solve societal problems. And every semester we have students who are engaged in all sorts of societal and environmental issues such as water, food, education, sustainability, and so on.
All right, Roger, thank you so much for your time and for being here today. Appreciate it. We'll have much more live from Notre Dame Day next.
We all assume that the medicine we take will make us better. This is such a fundamental expectation that it's easy to take it for granted. But here in Kenya, so many patients that I see have purchased substandard or counterfeit medicine. And for many, the consequences have been life-threatening.
Each year, counterfeit and substandard medicines kill over 300,000 people worldwide. At the University of Notre Dame, Professor Mario Lieberman is partnering with St. Mary's College to combat the problem using high-tech paper test cards.
In most countries, healthcare providers lack the financial and technical resources to properly test drugs. The technology we've developed has the power to overcome these obstacles. It puts the capability to detect fake drugs in the hands of doctors, pharmacists, and even consumers.
For just pennies a test, this technology uses colorimetric chemistry to measure the presence of specific ingredients. By simply swiping a pill across the card, distinctive color codes reveal within minutes whether a drug is genuine.
Professor Lieberman's work is so amazing because it creates a way to ensure that patients like mine get the real medicine they so desperately need.
Seeing the difference we're making here in Kenya is incredibly inspiring, and we're excited to empower people everywhere who are victimized by this injustice.
The University of Notre Dame asks, what would you fight for?
Fighting to protect the sick. We are the Fighting Irish.
Welcome back to Notre Dame Day 2015. I'm Justine Ward, and I'm joined now by Tim Legg. He is the Director for Marketing and Communications here at Notre Dame, and you earned your Master's of Fine Arts here at Notre Dame, but we're actually not here to talk about your job or education. We're here to talk about something else, and we actually have a short video about what makes Tim so special.
After I'd started here, really within the first couple of years of my employment, my soon-to-be wife moved up here from Atlanta. And only after 3 years, she came down with cancer that was pretty severe. Went through a lot of treatment, and we're in pretty good shape there for about 4 years, and then it came back, and ended up losing her, and it was a really difficult time. Having such a tremendous support group of employees, colleagues, and cohorts kind of wrap their arms around me and really support me going through a really tough time. Gave me all the time I needed to do what I needed to do to care for her when she was failing health, and subsequently afterwards to kind of get me back on my feet and get going again. It certainly did shock me to the core as far as how I treated myself and my own health and wellness. After I lost my wife, I really decided that I really wanted to qualify and go to Hawaii and do the biggest endurance sport event in the world. I've just poured everything I had into doing that, and it really became a way to really experience life really fully, beyond any measure that I had previously. Having the passion to get up at 4 in the morning, to put the time in that's needed. On race day, it's really a celebration of all that work. To go through it and get to the finish line, it's just a remarkable feeling. And in the end, it's just glory. You're not really even exhausted, you're just kind of elated with having accomplished something that you've worked so hard to do. Where I stand today versus where I have been in the last decade or so is, having gone through a number of races, a number of Ironman journeys, and 12 of them in total. My life now is really just so amazing. I'm remarried and have 2 children at age 7 and 9 who are doing their own triathlon adventures themselves. I'm being so blessed to be in an environment like Notre Dame for my career and community for my family to grow up around the feeling of family that really permeates everybody that works at Notre Dame. It really matters deeply to me, and it always has, and so this is why I've been here for 20 years. It comes down to faith and fortitude. Those 2 words really mean a lot to me in terms of that sense of just completely committing to excellence. They definitely tie together and really drive me to want to do the very best I can at the things that I pursue.
Wow, what an amazing story, Tim. And for those who don't know, what exactly is an Ironman, and talk about the challenges in preparing for something like that?
Well, for me, it's really it's a number of things. So as the video showed, it's been therapy for me. It's been a way of really pursuing a passion that has a deep meaning for me in a lot of ways. A way to just kind of go after something in life that is a really positive way to kind of experience living fully. I've kind of described that to colleagues of mine as just really living fully, to get the most out of your everyday. And preparation takes a long time. But it's really been a thrill for me to be able to do that, accomplish some goals that I've set for myself in the sport. Technically, it's 140.6 miles. It's a 2.4 mile swim. It's about an hour to do that. The bike's 112 miles, and that's about 5.5 to 6 hours. The winds in Kona this year were quite heavy, so it was closer to 6th this past year. And the run's a marathon, and if you get all that done, it's just a feeling that just can't be described.
And you just finished up the Boston Marathon, but as you said, you run a marathon as just a little part of the Ironman, so that must have been kind of easy for you.
Right. Just doing Boston. So a week ago today, literally at this time, I was running in Boston, which was fantastic. Another really great experience to do something that also just kind of living life fully, going and doing things that a lot of people love and have passion for, just a full zest for life, and it's really been a great adventure for me.
And the training to this really is a year-round endeavor, and there also is a big mental component to be able to have the stability to make it through something like that.
Sure. Just having a commitment to excellence in the things that you do, having passion, whether it's your work or activities that you like to pursue. It's a good feeling, good inspiration for my family. It's really good for them to kind of see me pursuing things and having them kind of going about their lives to do things as well.
All right. Well, thank you, Tim, for joining us out of your busy work schedule and training schedule. We appreciate it, and keep up your good work, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Tim. We'll be right back after this.
An Irish blessing. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.
We are the University of Notre Dame.
The world needs a university that educates men and women who accept their responsibility to serve others. We will strive to build a community where education, inquiry, and faith combine to respond to the demands of justice. This is our goal. Let no one ever say that we dreamed too small.
Welcome back to Notre Dame Day. I'm Brian Dorman. Joining me now from the middle of the Amazon rainforest in Peru is Notre Dame alum Andy Bose. Andy is a Notre Dame graduate and Seattle native who happens to be joining us directly from Peru, South America. Andy, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks. I'm glad to be on here, and I'm honored after looking at all the other guys that have been on here.
I have to ask what a guy from Seattle is doing calling us from South America.
Well, I'm fortunate enough to be serving in the Peace Corps, and I got assigned here to northern Peru. I'm in a town right now called Chachapoyas with some internet connection, actually. So.
Well, before we continue, I have a couple of quick questions here. Where did you live on campus, and what did you study with your time here?
I lived in Dillon Hall all 4 years, and I studied political science and economics with a minor in public service.
All right, and tell us more about your role with the Peace Corps. I understand that you actually had a special assignment when you first got there.
Yeah, so I'm a youth and development volunteer. So we essentially work with kids aged 12 to 24 on helping prepare them for their futures because they're going to be the leaders of their community later on. I am the first youth development volunteer in my region of Peru. I'm pretty far outside of Lima. I'm a 24-hour bus ride away. There's new youth volunteers here as well, but I got to be the first.
And Andy, I have to ask, a lot of people may be watching, thinking about joining the Peace Corps. Tell us a little bit about the program itself. Any regrets? Happy to be part of it?
No regrets. It's challenging for sure. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, but it's rewarding as well. So you serve for 27 months in typically a rural community. It really depends from country to country. And you get assigned to a different program, and you live in the same community for your entire service. And you do your best to contribute to the community, but ultimately you get a lot more out of the experience, in my opinion.
Andy, before we go, I just want to ask, is there anything that you want to come clean about from your time here at the University of Notre Dame?
I mean, I don't know if I want to say coming clean because I don't have any guilt about it, but a couple of my buddies and I and Dylan pulled a little prank that I think most of Dillon Hall knows about. We stole a moose from Dom Hall, and we have it back now.
All right, thank you for celebrating Notre Dame with us, Andy. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And
Yeah,
Justine, I hear that you have a next guest is also trying to make the world a better place with cutting-edge research.
That's right, Ryan. I'm joined here in the studio by Professor Paul Bone, Director of the Advanced Diagnostics and Therapeutics Initiative at Notre Dame, and the Arthur J. Schmidt Professor of Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering here at Dr. Bone. Pretty big title there.
Well, I have a lot of hats, that's for sure.
You do wear a lot of hats. And tell me a little bit about precision medicine. For those that I am new, don't know much about it, for those at home.
Certainly. So precision medicine really addresses the problem of what would happen if you and I, God forbid, should develop the same horrible disease. We go and we get a diagnosis, and because we have the same disease, perhaps we would be prescribed the same regimen of treatment. But in fact, you might respond to that regimen of treatment very differently than I would. So precision medicine is really developing the tools that allows doctors and clinicians to treat you and I according to our own biomedical makeup.
And this is something getting national attention right now. Congress is actually trying to pass an initiative regarding this. So what is the importance in researching this?
Well, the thing that Congress and, of course, President Obama in his State of the Union address recognized was the need for genetic level information. But that's really just the beginning of the story. So once we know what your genetic makeup is, we have to understand how your body processes that information. It's a little bit like having the blueprint for a house, but then when your house gets built, you put different furniture in it, you paint the walls differently, etc. And so we're trying to go 2 steps down the road and understand what that finished product looks like and develop the tools to give us that information.
So everybody kind of reacts differently.
Absolutely.
Under different situations. And what are we doing here at Notre Dame with this?
Well, one of the things that we have world-leading expertise with here at Notre Dame is developing the tools and applying the tools for looking at the protein content of your cells and how those proteins carry out the chemical reactions that allow your body to function. This is, as I said, this is 2 steps down the road past the genomic information that most of the rest of the world is concentrating on, but we happen to have one of the world's leading experts in single-cell proteomics here at the university, and we have others who are working on basically just being able to take a single cell from a swab inside of your cheek and to tell a great deal of information about you personally and how you'll react to medications.
And this is a newer program here at Notre Dame?
It's brand new. We've been thinking about this and rolling it out over about the last year. We've begun by starting to talk to clinicians both here in the local area as well as some of our national partners in Long Island and Milwaukee, et cetera, to try to understand where is it that Notre Dame can really make a difference.
Yes, and taking this beyond the classroom, what does that look like for somebody working in precision medicine?
Well, for the students, it's a wonderful opportunity to get training at the very cutting edge of what modern science and technology looks like, because they're working with the best instruments on the hardest problems. And so for both those undergraduate as well as graduate students, what they come away with is they come away with a sense of not only how do you solve a well-prescribed problem, but how do you develop a series of inquiries that let you move well past the boundaries of mankind's knowledge. And it's very, very exciting to be able to do that.
And why Notre Dame? You have to ask, why Notre Dame?
Well, I think Notre Dame is a place where we can, on the one hand, we can address and tackle the most difficult problems there are to that face us currently, but at the same time we can do that in a context of a university that's rooted in its faith and its Catholic tradition and with a strong sense of social justice. So when we think about what we might be able to do for people eventually, they really are motivated by those ideals.
All right. Thank you so much, Paul. Professor,
Thank
so
you.
nice to meet you, and thanks for sharing your research with us. We appreciate it. Happy Notre Dame Day to you.
Thank you very much.
All right. And now we're going to head back to the Notre Dame Day performance stage to check in, see how that painting is going. Are you there, Jackie?
Hi, Justine. Yes, I'm back with... Yes, you're out of time, Maxim. We're back with Maxim Cantor. He had 20 minutes to finish this painting right over here. He started out with a blank canvas, and now we are starting to see a painting emerge right now. So again, as you just put the finishing touches, Maxim, I can't believe you finished all of this in just 20 minutes. How did you do it?
There are 2 secrets.
What was that?
Just 2.
Just 2.
Just 2.
No.
The first one, you know, I'm 57 now. I turned 57, and I started to paint professionally from 7. So in 50 years, I learned something. That's secret number 1. There's a second secret. I'm genius.
What was that?
I'm genius.
There we go. He just said, and he's a genius for painting all this. That is right, Maxim, right? I got that right? But again, you can always find out, you can become eligible, actually, to receive Maxim Cantor's painting just behind me by sending the Notre Dame Institute for Advanced Study an email at ndias@nd.edu, following the Institute on Twitter at Notre Dame IAS. I actually just followed them on Twitter, or following or voting for them on Notre Dame Day. Sorry, I can't read right now. But again, Maxim, thank you so much for being here today. And again, you only took 20 minutes to finish this. I wouldn't nearly be anywhere close to this, and it's gorgeous. So again, like I mentioned, you can become eligible to receive this painting on all of those things that I just mentioned. Again, thanks, Maxim.
Thank you very much.
Now I'm going to toss it back to Brian up in the studio. Brian?
All right, Jackie, that is so cool. Isn't that awesome?
Very
Love
nice.
that. All right, Jackie, thank you so much. Pleased to be joined now by Duncan Stroik, a professor of architecture here at the University of Notre Dame, an author, a practicing architect, and Professor is one of the country's best-known designers of churches. He is also the recipient of countless awards for his work. And Professor, thank you so much. Your work is absolutely beautiful. Tell us about some of it.
So I'm honored to be able to work in classical architecture, mainly for the church, designing church buildings, which I love. And it's great to do things that are very elegant and have high budgets. like college chapels as well and cathedrals, as well as things that are more for parish churches that are more affordable.
And I want to speak specifically to some of the work you've done. You've designed some truly beautiful churches and chapels all around the country, really, including St. Paul the Apostle Catholic Church, that's in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and also the Thomas Aquinas College Chapel in California. How do you start a process of designing a church?
Yeah.
And this is one of them as well.
Yeah, and I like this example too, because St. Paul is a affordable parish church in a beautiful little town in South Carolina. And I believe in beauty on a budget, that we can do that today, and we need to do it today. So what do I do? First thing I do is I listen. I try to listen to the client, what they need, what they want, what they think they would like. Then I look at the site, at the town, at the campus. I also study the history of whatever that building type is going to be, a monastery, a church, a college chapel. And then I sketch. And I do multiple sketches by hand, and I come up with lots and lots of ideas, and then we try to focus in on what might be the best for the client.
And how is this different, sacred architecture, different than other forms, let's say maybe constructing a building, a business building?
Right. So there's a lot in common with an office building or with a museum or a library or school, but historically, church architecture has been the highest level. We've seen sacred architecture as being the epitome of what classical architecture should be, because it's civic, it's for all people, and ultimately it's for the higher things, it's for God, and so it should be an expression of excellence.
And of course, you have the outside of the building. How difficult is it to decide what the inside of a building is going to look like?
Good point. Yeah, the outside and inside are both crucial. Most people will see the outside, but we want people to come in. We want to bring you in. We want to welcome you and inspire you. And then inside is really the sense of transcendence, place of worship, place of prayer, to make you feel comfortable, but also, and that it's your house, it's people's house, but it's also God's house. And how to do that, a lot of it is through architecture and architectural elements, but also through artwork.
And it's one thing to be able to do it yourself, create it yourself, another thing to teach it.
Yes.
How is that process?
Oh, I love teaching.
Yeah.
I'm so honored to teach at Notre Dame. My students help me out so much. They inspire me, they challenge me. And I'd like to think that my architecture work as well as my teaching are very much symbiotic. They grow out of each other. And I like to bring my experience, my practice to educating the future generation of classical architects as well as church architects.
And I imagine there's a long period of time that goes into constructing a building, a church,
yes.
And then of course teaching. How do you balance the two?
Yeah, it's a hard balance, but I think I couldn't be a teacher without being an architect. I couldn't teach well without practicing. And of course, I balance it the way my colleagues in other fields balance their teaching with their great research.
I'd like to talk to you just about, creating an altar and an ambos. How does that process unfold? How do you decide that?
Okay, so that's really fun. The elements of the church are the things that we focus on often, but they're small. The churches are big, and these elements, like an altar, are quite small. So how do you make the altar stand out?
This is beautiful. Can you speak specifically to this one?
So this ambo is at a cathedral in Sioux Falls.
Wow.
And it's all marble, it's round, has a sounding board with the Holy Spirit, and on the front it has a sculpture by Cody Swanson of Christ speaking to the youth, speaking to the people. And we spend a lot of time designing these works. This is a new work of candlesticks and tabernacle and crucifix that we did for a monastery. And these are the things that really matter to me. We love using good materials, marble, plaster, bronze. This is for St. Paul's, and we have a nice little Irish cross up there in the capitol, and a little sword in honor of St. Paul the Apostle.
It's absolutely beautiful. And so you're an architect, you're a professor, you're also an author, and you brought a book here with us today.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, so the church building as a sacred place is kind of my proposal for a new renaissance of sacred architecture that we've been promoting at Notre Dame and around the world, and I think people are really hungry for churches that look like churches and churches that remind people that it's not just another building, but it's a house of God.
And how important is that in your lecture when you're teaching somebody to be able to do the work that you do? How does that unfold in the classroom? How do you translate that, your passion, to an up-and-coming student?
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I try to ask my students to do what I do. I don't ask them to do different things. I don't ask them to do more. I try to push them to do things that I've tried. And that's what I can give them. I can only give them what I know and how I do it, and I try to push them the way that my clients push me.
It's fascinating. This has been a great interview. Professor, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Your
Brian.
work is beautiful. I really appreciate it.
Honor to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Duncan. All right, well, after this quick break, we'll have much more here from the campus of the University of Notre Dame. You're watching Notre Dame Day live.
People everywhere are the same. They just want a chance to make tomorrow better than today. Serving in Iraq in the 101st Airborne, I experienced this firsthand as we were able to convince insurgents to put down their weapons in favor of jobs. When my service was complete, I looked for a business school where the emphasis on the bottom line was for others, not just myself.
Keith Flatley is a graduate of Notre Dame's Mendoza College of Business and a former student in the school's Business on the Front Lines course, which examines commerce's role in rebuilding war-torn societies.
Keith was a part of that first Business on the Front Lines team. In 2008, they traveled to Bosnia. They spent time with people in Sarajevo and Srebrenica and were really moved by their suffering.
When we got to Bosnia, we learned firsthand about the civil war and the ethnic cleansing that took place. These people had been let down by everyone. They didn't get help during the war. They didn't get help much after the war. And you realize you can do something, and you can do it right now.
In partnership with Catholic Relief Services, Keith and his classmates created an economic development model that eases the path for refugees to return and start businesses. Now a vice president of business development at Precision Partners in Chicago, Keith Flatley continues to work with the people of Bosnia, dedicating his free time to consult with local entrepreneurs.
Through the sustained commitment that Keith and the University of Notre Dame have shown, together we've been able to impact lives at a moment when the people of Bosnia-Herzegovina need it most.
The University of Notre Dame asks, what would you fight for?
Fighting to rebuild communities.
We are the Fighting Irish.
Welcome back to Notre Dame Day 2015. I'm Justine Ward. And for my next guest, we were planning to do a remote from a Notre Dame particle accelerator, but the walls around it were 4 feet of solid concrete, so we couldn't get a signal. So joining me in the studio now is Ani Abrahamian, Freeman Professor of Experimental Nuclear Physics. Welcome, Professor. And you know, with my time at Notre Dame, I didn't realize we actually have 3 particle accelerators on campus.
Thank you very much, Justine. We, in fact, have had nuclear accelerators on campus since the early 1940s. We're one of the earliest universities that had accelerators on campus. We're, in fact, the second university in the U.S. that had them at home.
Yes, and for layman's term, what exactly a particle accelerator does?
Yeah, well, a particle accelerator is meant to do exactly that. So taking particles and accelerating them to faster speeds so that you can basically get over the Coulomb barrier and penetrate a nucleus. So make a nuclear reaction, make new nuclear products, more exotic nuclei that you can study in the laboratory.
And so breaking up atoms going on right here at Notre Dame.
Yes. That is true.
So what kind of projects go on in the particle accelerator?
Yeah, the main research in our nuclear science lab here on campus is on in nuclear astrophysics. We're trying to understand energy generation in the sun and how that works. We know that a lot of the elements in the universe are made in stars. So we're trying to figure out where the energy is coming from and also where the neutrons are coming from that produce later on the heavier elements.
And why does Notre Dame need a particle accelerator? What does it help us study or learn?
Yeah. Why do we need one? Well,
I'm sure that's a complicated question. There's lots of reasons.
Right. The newest accelerator, which we just got through a very competitive process through the National Science Foundation, It was a major research instrumentation grant to Notre Dame. It allows us to have much more intense beams than we did with the older accelerators, and we can do some of the hardest nuclear reactions that allow us to understand the very fine workings of the evolution of a star, or the stellar evolution. So it's quite funny that that kind of question has been asked since the beginning of nuclear science at Notre Dame, I think when they were building the first one in 1930s, a student was asking a professor at that time, why do we need a nuclear, well, he called it an atom smasher. Why do we need an atom smasher? So there's a lot of challenges in studying nuclei, and Notre Dame, where the nuclear astrophysics component has made us one of the best labs in the world.
And a lot of questions still to be answered.
Right.
And that's what we're working on here at Notre Dame.
Right.
All right, well, thank you so much, Professor, for joining us. We do have a quick commercial break, but we'll be right back after this.
Having served in the military for 32 years, I know that technological progress poses opportunities and challenges. Enhanced soldiers, ever-present surveillance, autonomous weapon systems. The question most often asked about these advancements is, can we? But an equally important question is, should we?
Robert Latiff is a retired Air Force Major General, a former weapons developer, and a professor teaching weapons ethics at the University of Notre Dame's Riley Center for Science, Technology, and Values.
There should probably be. One of the goals of our work here at Notre Dame is to bring the moral and ethical implications of weapons technology to the forefront of our national dialogue, not only in Washington among our current leaders, but also in the classroom where we are educating future leaders.
It's been really great having a diverse class with peace studies majors and ROTC students and poli-sci majors, because consequences of these weapons technologies that I haven't thought about, they have, and it's really deepened our discussions in the classroom.
Now in its 28th year, Notre Dame's Riley Center is a recognized leader in promoting and examining the advancement of science and technology in the pursuit of the common good.
Notre Dame has been a vital collaborator with the Navy as we address some of the ethical challenges of emerging military technologies. Their scholars, including General Latiff, are providing a unique voice in this important new field.
What I love about teaching at Notre Dame is that our students, who come from all walks of life, share the university's mission to be a force for good in the world, and I am honored to help them do that.
The University of Notre Dame asks, what would you fight for?
Fighting for the ethical use of technology.
We are the Fighting Irish.
Welcome back, and joining me in studio now is Scott Morris, Associate Professor in Aerospace and Mechanical Engineering. One of Scott's major research focuses is turbo machinery, and in fact he recently designed and constructed a new cutting-edge turbo machinery laboratory here at the University of Notre Dame. Welcome to Notre Dame Day, pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
You brought a toy, but you told me to be gentle so I don't cut my fingers with it, so
That's right.
I won't touch it at all. Turbo machinery, it sounds really awesome, but it also sounds super complicated. Explain to us, just break it down for the people watching here at home today.
Sure. So turbo machinery in engineering is any time you have something spinning, a rotor, interacting with a liquid or a gas, either to move air or move the liquid or gas, or to generate power. And so there's turbo machinery everywhere around you, actually. There's fans, you have cooling fans, you've got fans around you, wind turbines, and the application we're most interested in is gas turbine engines. So gas turbine engines are the primary source of power for pretty much every airplane you've ever been in. Helicopters, tanks, ships, everything has turbo machinery and gas turbine engines.
Yeah, and Scott, lay out your toy here for us. Explain what this is that you brought.
So this is a turbine, and this turbine will typically, this came out of a helicopter engine.
Okay.
And it will spin with high pressure, high temperature gas moving through it, which produces power. And that power, in this case, for the helicopter, will be used to power the rotor for the helicopter, and as well as the electrical generation.
Wow, that's amazing. And explain what your lab does to contribute to gas turbine engine technology.
So the lab that we built at Notre Dame is designed to work on components just like we have here. So we don't work on full-scale engines. The engine laboratory, there's engine laboratories and there's component laboratories. So the work we're involved with is really focusing on improving the quality of the components of the gas turbine engine. So that can be the compressor section, the turbine section, or any of the components that fit together to make the engine. So what we do is we'll take out these components and build laboratory facilities that do research or computations to improve the quality of these parts.
And talk about your lab a little bit. I know that that's your project. Tell us how it is and what stage it started at and where it's at now.
Sure. The lab that we built, we started about 12 years ago.
Okay.
And the idea was to build a laboratory that could sort of fit in between the usual small-scale benchtop laboratories that exist already and the full-scale engine testing that the engine companies and the government does. We wanted to fit right in between. So about 12 years ago, we started with this idea of building laboratories that could study these engine components at a scale that's really relevant to the gas turbine engines without building an actual engine itself. And so we started with that philosophy, and we've built the engine technology into all these laboratory components to the point where we've been growing and adding more capabilities and more computational capabilities and more experimental capabilities year by year, and we've been growing ever since.
And as that growth continues, where do you see this lab over the next 5-10 years?
Well, there's an announcement last year that we're moving part of the laboratory to Ignition Park, which is just south of downtown South Bend in the old Studebaker region. And the new laboratory is going to grow and expand our capabilities to have higher power, higher temperatures, and really more relevant conditions to the engine companies. So,
a lot going on.
A lot going on. That's
All right, Scott, I thank you so much for your time today. I know you're a busy guy this afternoon. Thank you for stopping by. And
yeah, you're welcome. It was a pleasure.
All right, we now want to check in, find out what's going on in the social media lounge, and we're going to check in with them right after this quick break here from Notre Dame Day Live.
My mother had her first child when she was 19. Later that year, she dropped out of college. When I had my son, I knew that having a college degree would provide better opportunities for our future. But it was a struggle every day. I missed classes because I couldn't afford daycare. My grades suffered. I often thought that I would never graduate.
In the United States, over 60% of community college students drop out before completing their degree. Notre Dame's Wilson Sheehan Lab for Economic Opportunities, in collaboration with Catholic Charities Fort Worth, has created Stay the Course, a program designed to help low-income students graduate.
Research shows a large percentage of community college students drop out because of issues outside the classroom. Stay the Course provides students with counselors to help navigate these non-academic barriers through case management and emergency financial services.
Notre Dame's Lab for Economic Opportunities is identifying programs that address the causes rather than the symptoms of poverty, and is providing research-based solutions that will permanently improve the lives of those in need.
In its first year, Stay the Course reduced dropout rates at Tarrant County College in Fort Worth, Texas, by 25%.
My counselor is amazing. She helped me find and pay for affordable daycare. My grades are better, and I'm on course to become the first person in my immediate family to graduate college.
The University of Notre Dame asks, what would you fight for?
Fighting to create economic opportunity.
We are the Fighting Irish.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to Notre Dame Day 2015. I'm Jonathan, coming to you live from the Social Media Lounge down here on the first floor in the Fortune Student Center. And what can I say? Over 9,600 gifts, and it's not even 12 o'clock on the East Coast yet. A huge thank you to everyone that's tuning in, and a huge thank you to everyone that's hit that gold give and vote button, made your minimum $10 gift, and cast your 5 votes to help allocate this year's $1 million challenge fund. If you've already participated, again, huge thank you to you. Now is the time. The voting and the leaderboards are going to start really heating up as we get into this final home stretch, the final 12 hours. It's going to be the groups that go out there and activate other people that they know, other friends and relatives, other people in your community. Leveraging those kind of relationships, that's going to be the key to victory in this home stretch, and it's still anybody's game. There is still so much available, so much good left to do for those areas at Notre Dame that you feel so strongly about. Let's take a look at the top leaderboard. We haven't visited that in a few hours. First, it starts Ultimate Frisbee again on top. Over 1,500 votes, $43,000 if the competition ended right now. but look at who is catching up. The Glee Club has 1454, so they are catching up very fast on the Frisbee Club. We had the Glee Club members right at the beginning of the broadcast last night. They did an amazing job for us here on the air. They're out there now. They're pushing the vote hard. You can also push the votes hard for the areas of interest that you care about the most. Click that gold Give and Vote button. Cast your 5 votes. Make your $10 minimum gift. And move on up the leaderboard. We're seeing it all over social media. People are talking about, hey, we're 68th. We want to move up into the top 50. Help get us into the top 25. Everybody has something at stake here. So get out there and make your voice heard. The power is in your hands to transform the interests that you care about the most at the university. St. Edward's Hall leading the charge from a residence hall standpoint with over 1,100 votes right now, $33,000 if the contest ended right now. Alumni and Morrissey are up there as well. Zom was in that top 6 level, and they've kind of fallen out. So I know that the folks in Zom, their alumni and their residents are going to be having a big charge this afternoon to get their folks back involved. And Sacred Music has been on top of the leaderboard since he went on the air, really. They have 880 votes. They would receive $25,000 if the contest ended right now. So these numbers are manageable. If you get out there, you activate your groups, anybody can get up into the 100, 200 vote threshold. It's literally anybody's game. We have 12 hours to go. The $1 million challenge fund is out there. And again, they're using social media. That's the big way people are getting their message out. I know Sarah's been tracking a lot of it. Sarah, what are we seeing out there in the social media space this hour?
Well, Jonathan, I have some exciting news about the photo poll. You may recall in the last hour, our vote was for your favorite study spot on campus, and we were choosing between La Fortune and the Hesburgh Library, and they were neck and neck, and would you believe it ended up with an exact tie. Each facility got 50% of the vote, and I said, can we finish this way? And Jonathan said, sure we can. That's what the vote is. So dead tie between La Fortune and the Hesburgh Library as the favorite study spot. So this just shows that every vote counts. So let's look at the next poll for your chance. The question is, which is your favorite ND Alumni Association event? And your choices are Reunion or the Football Friday. So go on and vote. Go on Twitter, and it's ND Reunion or ND Football Friday. And as is the case, this is sort of a little teeing up what's coming in the broadcast, and we are going to have Dolly Duffy, the Executive Director of the Alumni Association. So send your message loud and clear to Dolly, and if you have any questions for her or anything to say, you can put it on social media. So let's see what's happening on the mosaic. This is hilarious. This is a cat. Oh, the kitty went away, but she was saying, I wish I had thumbs so that I could text and vote today. Now you have thumbs, so you can get involved. What else is going on? Notre Dame Research. Happy Notre Dame Day. Be sure and vote for our research initiatives. ND Diagnostics. We've got Ben Zelmer shouting out to some of his favorite groups, including the band and Voices of Faith, Stanford Hall. We have had a lot of participation from the halls. It's been really great. Recently, been hearing from a lot of the women's halls, Howard, BP, Kavanaugh. Also heard from women's hockey, a couple of the clubs. We've heard from the Notre Dame Club of Kalamazoo, the Notre Dame Club of Minnesota, and then also the Club of Kansas. Heard from ROTC, Shakespeare, Cycling, Q's. So we've been seeing a lot of activity. We hope everybody keeps getting involved as the day goes on. Let's see. Oh, hockey. What have I got going on over here? Oh, the free candy machine, that's still happening. Lots of stuff about the shirt. And of course, we're just really revving up for the dunk tank. We have different people coming up every half hour, so get out there, take photos, try to dunk some of those ND leaders. And that's pretty much the buzz today from the Social Media Lounge, and we'll be back as we are live at the top of the hour.